Now, there's a very interesting concept. Welcome back to the People's Mirror. Of course, in this episode, we want to take a look at a very interesting concept. We want to put Raila Odinga again once more, ladies and gentlemen, before the mirror. And this is not because just a few days ago, as recent as 2 days ago, was his birthday, but now because of the fact that his spirit seems to still be looming over the Kenyan political space in a manner that seems that it still controls the Kenyan political space. And speaking of spirits, now in the Luo term where Raila Odinga comes from, it's called Juogi. It's something that is very, very hard to understand how it operates. And if you look at how the ODM party has been behaving since the demise of Raila Odinga, then you could say that the spirit of Baba might be resting in peace, but it's also still very much hovering over the politics of the country and the decisions that are being made around the things that were very key to his heart. Now, this is the third month, you can say we are on the third month, that is like 90 days since the demise of Raila Odinga, and that is still a name that is very, very steady in the mouths of a lot of Kenyans, and of course not only in the mouths but also in the hearts of a lot of Kenyans. And you saw that when his 81st birthday came on the 7th of January this month, then his supporters and the country at large, now you cannot actually identify the country in sections of Raila supporters and those who don't support Raila, because Raila posthumously seems to be loved by everyone. And you could see that the country at large went in a fresh mourning episode of the demise of course, the enigma Raila Odinga. In this particular episode, the reason why the People's Mirror want to put Raila Odinga before the mirror is because we feel that whereas people are having conversations, of course, on the burying of Jirongo with what now they call a flashlight, a torch, it seems that Raila Odinga might be the one that was buried with that particular flashlight, because the way that his spirit is putting things in order while also disintegrating them is interesting post his demise. Now let's start with the fact that how Oburu came into the position of course, the acting party leader of the ODM party. And remember, by the time that Oburu was getting into that particular position, he was acting party leader. So this is just fit to say that immediately after his demise, of course, Raila's spirit chose who he felt fit to see this transition of the ODM party. And I'm saying the word transition very cautiously, because at the time that Oburu Odinga was being appointed, he was not the party leader of the ODM party the way now he has been ratified, but he was the interim party leader. Now, if you remember very well, just around the appointment of Oburu Odinga itself, there was no national delegate conference that was called for the ODM party to actually elect a party leader. There was no serious meeting that was established for anyone to appoint Oburu Odinga as their party leader. But shortly after Raila died, even before he was buried within the 72 days that he wrote within his will, they had already settled on Oburu Odinga as the party leader of the ODM party. Now let's put a little bit more to context. As much as this might come from a humor point of view, it has some impact on it. If we put some context to the Oburu's appointment itself, you remember, other than the fact that it was arrived at the point of mourning, Oburu was the best individual that could have actually overseen this particular transition period of the ODM party. He's the closest friend of Raila Odinga. They are separate of age with just a few years, and of course he's the older brother of Raila Odinga. So taking care of Raila Odinga's party during transition would be in his best interest, and he has stories that are dear to the nation at the time of mourning with Raila Odinga that was very, very necessary to keep the country in the support base of Raila Odinga intact, of course, post his death. Now, this particular decision of arriving at Oburu Odinga might have been an haphazard decision that was made by a cohort of the leadership of the ODM party, but in the spiritual aspect of the Raila Odinga influence over the activities in the Kenyan political scene, it seems like something that was being done by supernatural powers. Aside from Oburu Odinga, of course, you can now talk about the unsettling flashlight chasing individuals that ate Raila Odinga's money. in 2022 and actually led to his fail. If we talk about this individual, this is a story that we didn't know during the life of Baba, but seems like Baba posthumously is now actually mad at individuals that took away the campaign money of 2022, rendering his campaign a failure. And now you know the individuals, they're chasing banter left, right and center. It seems like Jogi has landed on them, the spirit of Raila Odinga. And this thing is making them scatter left, right and center. It's also very funny that these particular spirits of Raila, when we're still talking about it extensively, can only be tamed by Ida Odinga. And the fact that he's still weirdly having control over the Kenyan political scene. Now, do not take this very wrongly from a spiritual point of view, but the way the ODM party and everything has been going on within that party, and people have been scattering left, right and center while others are also being consolidated. It is something that you can see in limelight that the spirit of Raila Odinga might be resting in peace, but is still hovering and making decisions over the Kenyan political scene. And this is the third month. We are on the third month, so that's roughly 90 days. 90 days since the Right Honorable passed. And his name is still one that is very, very steady in Kenyan, in the mouths of Kenyan citizens, and not only the mouths of Kenyan citizens, but in the hearts of the Kenyan citizens. Over this period of the December period, a lot of Kenyans visited the burial site of the late Honorable Prime Minister Raila Odinga to actually, of course, send their respects, because during the time that this burial took place, and you remember very well, it was scheduled within a period of 72 hours. Most Kenyans were constricted in work and so, or at work. So this particular period of December gave them an opportunity to go back home and visit now the mausoleum where Raila Odinga has been buried and pay their last respects. But as recent as 2 days ago, on the 7th of this month, when his birthday was due, the country yet again broke into fresh mourning episode. Of course, it was so fresh that while he was being celebrated on his birthday, the country remembered the loss of Raila Odinga. And at this point, you cannot say that the supporters of Raila Odinga, because as it seems that posthumously, post the death of Raila Odinga, his love has spanned his supporters, and his love is now across board. Almost every Kenyan is in one way or the other thinking and missing the Right Honorable Raila Odinga. Now, away from that, away from the Kenyan hearts and the Kenyan mouths, if we take a look at the things that matter to him most, of course, including family, the ODM party, which was very dear to his heart, something that is founded and has seen grow over these 20 years. If that was a child, then the ODM party would right now be a 22-year-old child of the Right Honorable Raila Odinga. The way activities are going on within this party, you would say that the spirit of Raila Odinga is still hovering and making decisions in these very, very key slots. And to just start you off, let us remember on how Oburu Odinga actually came to be a temporary, and that is a very key word, for the purposes of this analysis, temporary party leader over the period that Raila died. The fresh thing was this: Raila died, and in his will, he was supposed to be buried within 72 hours. And even before those 72 hours were concluded and Raila was interred, Right Honorable Senator of Siaya, Oburu Odinga, was already settled upon as the party leader of the ODM party. Now, what is funny is that there was no national delegate conference that was called to bestow Oburu in that particular position. Neither was there any serious meeting that was convened to decide on other individuals other than Oburu. It seemed so perfect that at the time that Baba was still fresh on top of the grave and of course waiting to be interred, the person that was fit to step on Baba's shoes, which of course we agree was sizably big, was his elder brother Oburu Odinga. Now, the structure of how Oburu was arrived at seems as a very straight spiritual appointment, because of course Oburu is the elder brother of Raila Odinga. Oburu has these close stories with Raila Odinga that if he told, and when he told at that particular time, had an effect of creating a cohesive nature expenditure within the country and within the support base of Raila Amolo Odinga. And this was so timely. In fact, Oburu is the elder brother of Raila Amolo Odinga, so stepping in these shoes accommodated everyone who might have had a different opinion with any other person rising to that particular position of party leader at that time before Raila was already interred. So this was so perfect that even post his burial, it seemed that he had a plan of his succession politics interimly. And the spirit for interim was very key because the appointment of Oburu Odinga was not ratified by a national delegate conference. So maybe we'll get to a time where the national delegate conference will sit down and we will see on whose head the spirit of Raila Amolo Odinga has mounted. But at that time of crisis, Raila made sure that he left the crisis well handled by his elder brother. Now you can say that the spirit is still even hovering, to the extent of hovering over the individuals that ate the money in 2022 and actually sabotaged these campaigns. If you're talking of those individuals and you know them, you're seeing how this banter is coming very clearly at the public scene without anyone prompting it much. This was a secret thing that perhaps happened. There was money that was released and given to another individual. Maybe it got to other individuals or maybe it did not. And so other individuals are being blamed, you know all of them and by name. But this particular fracas happening after Raila Amolo Odinga and the center point of it being betraying Baba in 2022 might be the spirit of Raila, of course, doing its work over the people that stole his glory. And so instead of having dealt with them in a disciplinary manner while he was still alive, he's actually exposing them to the eyes of the public right now posthumously, leaving the public to decide upon their political fates after Raila Amolo Odinga's demise. Now what is funny is some of the individuals that are exposed as a result of this particular fiasco that happened in 2022 are individuals that were clinging on Raila's coat for political success. Now without Raila in the scene and with Raila's spirit exposing their dirty deals that they did at night, their political future seems dead. Now you could fit to say, or you could accurately say that Raila Amolo Odinga is dealing with the individuals that betrayed him posthumously, killing their, of course, political careers. If we're talking about it in the terms of the community where Raila comes from, then it is called Juogi. Now you can say that this thing is also very hard to handle. It can actually pop on you and Raila's spirit might appear to you, but you don't know how to handle it. And among the individuals that still now might be dealing with the Juogi of Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga without knowing how to handle it is the Senator of Migori County, Eddie Okech. You saw that gentleman writing letters with the drawing letters. It's like the spirit of Baba is in him, but he does not know what the spirit of Baba wants him to do. And so he's very active in the scene, but active in the opposite direction. And we hope that he finds direction, of course, with his particular spirit of Baba that have landed on him. Other than him, another individual that might be receiving these spirits of Baba without knowing what to do with them is, of course, a lie. A lie, of course, perhaps Baba is telling Honorable a lie to take care of his gun or to use his gun, but a lie does not know on who. And so, because he does not understand these particular spirits, he keeps pointing guns on individuals like Baba. For Kalonzo, other individuals say that he keeps shouting joy wherever he's alone and wherever he attends conferences. It seems like the spirit of Raila is now hovering over him, and whenever you see the spirit of Raila, which AD says that he now quotes a lot of things from Raila that could be said that Raila appears in front of his eyes, then the only thing that he shouts becomes joy. These spirits seems to have decided to defend Sifuna so much that when the structures were in place to decide that Sifuna was going outside, the spirit, of course, introduced a new wisdom to the widow of Raila Amolo Odinga to appoint a board of trustees to oversee the management of ODM through transition. So these are things that are happening post Raila Amolo Odinga's death that are, of course, very, very interesting and very orderly. The fact that there was the structure of temporary transition, and right now when the actual transition is supposed to take place, Ida Odinga has come up with the idea of course, board of trustees to ensure that that transition goes on smoothly and also to ensure that they oversee crisis. It seems like a very orderly plan post-death that Raila had, or if he did not have, then is revealing to certain people. And this particular structures has now defended Sifuna, an individual that of course Raila defended while Raila was alive, but was almost facing the guillotine within the party because of the absence of Raila Amolo Odinga. For Ogeta, the spirits of Baba have done him wonderful. The spirits of Baba have now given Ogeta a position, a job in the county of Mombasa. Now, post Raila Amolo Odinga's death, one of the things that people are calling for was for Moses Ogeta to actually be given a good job, and a good job where he would actually enjoy himself and just, have a quiet time because of the full service that he gave the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga all the way during his life, and of course up to his demise. Now, this particular spirit of Baba might have had the concerns of Kenyans, and the governor of Mombasa County has now appointed Ogeta as a consultant in head of security of the county of Mombasa. So Ogeta, after getting done with work around 11 a.m., will now be going to the beach and resting perfectly because the spirit of Baba has decided so. But other than Ogeta, let's talk of Babu. It seems like the spirit are settling on Babu, and Babu is so unsettled. Very, very unsettled, and very boldly saying that after Baba ni Babu, it was like this was already an hierarchical structure that was created for Babu Owino, and this spirit is just waiting to land. And that is why, when we started this particular episode, ladies and gentlemen, we used Oburu's holding office as an interim decision that was made by Baba. It seems like this Jogi of Baba had decided that after Baba it would be Babu, but it required to first land somewhere to be taken care of in a very grown and mature manner before this particular hierarchical structure was done. Of course, even in a hierarchical familial system, after the main man has gone, it takes time before all the tools of power are handed off to the young man, and so Oburu was to oversee this particular process. And it seems that the way Babu is unsettled, calling for leadership of the party, calling for the National Delegates Conference, even daring the presidency in 2027 if no one else sees fit for anyone to dare within the ODM party. Even the way the scene of the ODM party is created in a way that in 2027 no one can contradict Babu other than Babu himself daring to become a president under that particular party ticket is so interesting. It seems as a creation of Raila Amolo Odinga's spirit post his death. Of course, Jogi does not work with the government. That is why you have not seen individuals like Mbadi making statements or behaving like Jogi has been on them. You have seen Wandai not making any statement as if the spirits of Raila Amolo Odinga is on him. You have seen Joho now, his statements not being taken seriously as if when Raila was here. Every other key Baba supporter that was very, very close to him in the ODM party, seems like Jogi has not landed on them. Now, this torch of Raila Amolo Odinga seems to be brighter than the torch, of course, of Honorable Cyrus Jirongo. And this one is not only chasing pursuers or making people unsettled when they stole campaign money in 2022. This one is very orderly, putting structures into order and disembarking them at will because the spirit of Baba is on it. So that is very, very interesting way to take a look at Baba's spirit. Us over here at the People's Mirror, this particular torch and the Jogi of Baba has landed on us to do that particular coverage on how the spirit of Raila Amolo Odinga is still taking care of the scene. Within the family, we are hoping to see a more development and a more involvement in the party politics of the ODM party and within the party structures itself, now that they are calling for a communication, no, rather a conversation between the parties, that is being Junet Mohammed and Sifuna. And Sifuna himself saying that he wants to distance himself from the media for quite a while until all these statements and all this dispute is put to test. We keep our angles looking at them so that when this is done, of course, we keep you updated. Later on, we will do another episode on Uhuru Kenyatta and all these statements that are coming and accusations about 2022. But quite a while within the day, Rigathi Gachagua has been making statements, ladies and gentlemen, on the status of education in Kenya currently. And he made some fire statements on this particular topic. He gives some pointers in this sector, saying that affirmative action right now should be disbanded for the education sector. The affirmative action that is based on county allocations and not on the one that is based on on gender allocation. Now, if you understand how Kenya has been operating post-2010, hardships areas, including areas like Wajir and the northeastern part, was actually put under a very strong category of hardship areas. So when it comes to education allocation being given to different parts of the country, those particular regions have been receiving a higher education allocation because they are zoned as hardship areas where affirmative action is required. Now, Honorable Reggie is saying that post-devolution, we have had how many years? We are in 2025, so that was in 2012. We have had 13 years. And so he's saying that there is no need to still have affirmative action 13 years post-devolution when resources are being given to counties almost equitably. So each county should actually take a good care of the education system, and this issue of affirmative action should also be of course eroded. When he's talking about zoning, also he's talking about the same thing, saying that areas have received enough money from the equalization fund. Now, on this issue of students around an area should be absorbed because the national school belongs to that particular area, Rigathi Gachagua has a different point of view, saying that there is no point of taking away, of course, the right of a student that has scored very well to go to a very good school just because through affirmative action and zoning you want to give that particular opportunity to a community student that has not done well. But he has also said not to be quoted off context, saying that if from the very community the student has also done very, very well to belong to that particular national school, then that ticks 2 boxes and that particular student deserves that. Now, that's just a pointer of the next episode that we are doing on a recap of this particular take that he had on the education and of course on Uhuru Kenyatta. But it's important to point out to you that one of the major moves of the United Opposition in 2026 is to ensure that they do not only sloganeer, but they give alternative options to the existing policy frameworks under President Ruto's government. So this particular move by Rigathi Gachagua to start talking about saying that they have come up with a way where when they get into power, they will provide an alternative way of ensuring that students are not placed way far from their homes if they're being placed in day schools, and of course ensuring that when they are being placed in national schools around to where they live, then they are being placed based on merit and not based on affirmative action. So this might just be one of the steps that they are making as a united opposition to offer an alternative to the policies of President William Ruto moving into the 2027 ballot, so that the Kenyan can decide upon that ballot whether they're going to vote for Rigathi Gachagua or they are going to vote for Honorable William Ruto in 2027. It's been interesting recapping what we thought was an interesting look on the spirit of Raila Odinga and the torch that was not. And of course, on recapping on this particular updates from Rigathi's statement. Keep it here at the People's Mirror until our next episode.